You ever have one of those moments when the world just stops mid-spin and all the noise gets drowned out by a single, piercing scream? Yeah, that was me, Richard Parker, up there at 33,000 feet, clutching a cup of overpriced airline coffee, watching my 15-year-old son Elliot come undone in seat 14C. Now, you should know, Elliot's autistic, brilliant, quirky, my heart, and my biggest mystery, and I've handled my share of meltdowns. But something about a meltdown in a pressurized metal tube packed with annoyed strangers? Let's just say, that day, I'd have traded every dollar I ever made for a working teleport button. Elliot's screams cut through the cabin sharp, jagged, impossible to ignore. Heads whipped up from novels and Netflix, faces morphing from irritation to concern, a few to actual fear. My shirt was already ruined by the coffee he'd knocked over dry. Cleaning is the least of your worries when your kid is howling like the world's ending. Sorry, he's autistic. We'll be okay. Just need a sec. I kept repeating the line I'd been using for years, but nobody seemed convinced. Least of all myself. And then, out of nowhere, a hand dark brown, calm, gentle reached past mine and took Elliot's flapping fingers. I barely registered the flight attendant kneeling there in the aisle until I caught her name tag, Vanessa. She spoke to my son like she'd known him forever, like his storm made perfect sense to her. Hey there, sweetheart. That's a tough storm in your head, isn't it? And I swear, Elliot's body started to relax right there. His wild shrieks quieted to whimpers. His hands stilled. The kid who can't handle strangers, whose own therapists barely get through, was breathing in sync with a woman he'd never met. And me? The billionaire with all the answers, the control freak, the Fortune 500 tech guy, I was the one blinking back tears. You want to know how we got here? Let me back up a sec. That morning, Boston Harbor was pink and gold out my penthouse window, but my insides were all thundercloud. Big move day. Elliot and I were leaving behind city, therapists, the one person who'd made real progress with him, Miss Abernathy, his rockin' heading west, so I could open our company's new Silicon Valley HQ. The official reason? Business. The real one? I was hoping California might be a reset button for my son, and maybe for me. Elliot was ready early, uniform perfect, blue button down, dark jeans, headphones already around his neck-like armor. He recited the plan, timing our drive to the airport down to the minute. I kept it together, but inside I was scrambling, replaying all the ways I'd failed to fix what the world said was broken in my boy. All the specialists, the research, the advocacy, none of it ever felt like enough. Alina, our housekeeper and the closest thing to family we had left, served blueberry pancakes just the way Elliot liked them, everything on the table perfectly aligned. Even she knew the routine, and I clung to those routines like driftwood. Before we left, I caught myself staring at a family photo on the wall. Sarah, Elliot's mother, long gone. Her smile, the hope in her eyes gone in a blink. Cancer too quick for even my money to outpace. Sometimes I wondered if she was the lucky one, missing out on the long struggle to reach Elliot. Then I hated myself for thinking it, because despite everything, that boy is my world. Our driver took us to Logan in record time. Elliot calmed himself by reciting crash statistics, his way of pushing back against the chaos. Security was smooth, though TSA always looks at us funny when Ellie avoids eye contact. I ignored it. Years of this had built up my armor too. At the gate, he lost himself in an astronomy magazine. Meanwhile, I got an email from the one doctor I'd pinned my hopes on in California. Sorry, not accepting new patients. I swallowed my disappointment. Then came the boarding call. I hesitated, letting the crowd go. First boarding early only made Elliot more anxious, not less. On the plane, I'd booked the whole row so he'd have space. I kept a hand ready, not touching but close enough. The plane filled, the noise swelled, and I felt the tension in him start to rise. The flight attendant, the one I'd later learn, was Vanessa, walked by with a confidence that caught my attention. Something about her felt familiar, but I brushed it off. Takeoff, hand squeeze, ritual. He watched the ground fall away through the window, then retreated behind his headphones. Vanessa offered drinks, coffee for me, apple juice for Elliot. She asked, quietly, if he'd prefer the whole can instead of just a cup. Small thing, but huge for him. Most people never even notice. He poured half the can, lined it up just so, and for the first time all day, looked a little calmer. The flight was smooth until it wasn't. Midwest turbulence hit, and the captain's voice crackled over the intercom. But it was Elliot's breathing that told me what was coming. Rigid body, rocking, fingers flapping. The meltdown rolled in like a storm front. I slipped into the middle seat, trying to shield him from the stares from the world. Another flight attendant tried to intervene. All rules and regulations stay buckled. Sir, but I refused to budge. My son needed me more than I needed anyone's approval. Then the screaming started. Passengers were openly staring, some sympathetic, some just annoyed. I wanted to disappear, take my son away from their judgment. But instead, Vanessa appeared. She knelt, eye level with Elliot, her voice somehow cutting through the chaos. It's just the airplane dancing with the wind, sweetheart, just like this. She waved her hand, mimicking the turbulence. She offered her hand, palm up. Elliot, who barely tolerates touch, took it. I could hardly breathe. She coached his breathing, slow and steady, and, as the turbulence faded, so did his panic. Vanessa didn't let go until Elliot was calm again. Not my first rodeo, she said with a little smile, then disappeared, as if nothing out of the ordinary had happened. But for us, it was everything. After that, the flight was quiet. Elliot read, stared at clouds, occasionally glanced at Vanessa when she passed. At landing, he squeezed my hand, white-knuckled but made it through. We waited for the crowd to thin out, then made our way to the exit. Vanessa was there, saying goodbye to passengers. I stopped. Thank you. I've never seen anyone connect with him like that. She met my eyes warm, knowing, almost like she was seeing right through me. He's a remarkable kid, she said, then turned to Elliot. Hope we meet again, young man. For a second, Elliot looked straight at Hera's rare gift in itself. Later, in the car, Elliot broke the silence. She smelled like lavender and vanilla. Like Mom's lotion, I felt a lump in my throat. He was right. Sarah's scent. Details never escape him. California was supposed to be a new chapter. Our house in Palo Alto was perfect, everything arranged just so for Elliot. That first night, he was quiet, tired from the flight and the upheaval. I tried to bury myself in work, but my mind kept circling back to the woman on the plane. I even Googled her Vanessa Miles, flight attendant. Dozens of results, none the right one. I gave up, embarrassed by my own curiosity. The next day, work mode kicked in, meetings, deadlines, the machinery of running a tech empire. But something Jennifer, my COO, asked stuck with me. What happens when Elliot turns 18? I had no answer. I've been so busy protecting him, I hadn't thought about letting him grow. That night, Elliot surprised me. He came to my office and told me he recognized Vanessa from a photograph, years agony old MIT graduation, with Sarah and her best friend Vanessa Johnson. She has the same scar on her hand, he said. I was floored. Could it really be her? Why was she a flight attendant after all these years? I couldn't shake it. I called Mark, my head of security, and asked him to find Vanessa Miles. Turns out, she was indeed Vanessa Johnson, PhD candidate, then a mysterious disappearance from academia. Now, living in Oakland, volunteering with autistic kids. It all fit. I drove to her house the next day, heart pounding, not sure what I'd even say. She opened the door, surprised but composed. Hello, Richard. No games, no pretending. Inside, we really talked for the first time in years. She'd struggled after Sarah's death, too. Left academia, changed everything. Sometimes the best thing for these kids isn't expensive therapy, it's acceptance, she said. She was right, and I knew it. I asked if she'd see Elliot again, as herself. She agreed. Sunday dinner, our place. The night she came over, Elliot was nervous but excited. Vanessa brought a gift. Sarah's old journal. Elliot devoured it, finding pieces of his mother he'd never known. Over dinner, we traded stories, funny, raw, real. Vanessa answered his questions, never talking down, always respecting him. She shared stories about Sarah, about their wild college days, about how Sarah always believed in both of us. Elliot blossomed under her attention. He started asking about his mom, about his own story. I realized how much I'd hidden from him, afraid to reopen old wounds. Vanessa helped bridge that gap. For the first time, I saw my son connect, not just with me, but with his past. And me? I remembered how to be someone other than the CEO, the fixer, the man who always needs control. Vanessa challenged me, made me laugh, made me remember who I was before all the layers of grief and ambition. In the weeks that followed, Vanessa became a regular presence in our lives. She brought pieces of Sarah for Elliot, and for May a chance at healing I hadn't dared imagine. Watching Elliot find his place, watching myself soften, I started to believe maybe we could all find our way home together. So yes, sometimes the universe throws you together with the last person you expect at the exact moment you need them most. Maybe it's fate, maybe just dumb luck. But I'll tell you this, those connections, those moments of real understanding are rare. They're worth everything. What do you think are the sum of our connections? Or is it what we do with second chances that defines us? Let's talk about it. Share your thoughts in the comments below about family, about acceptance, about the way strangers can change a life. And if you've made it this far, you know what to do. Subscribe for more stories that remind us we're all just doing our best, one turbulent flight at a time.